Hey everybody, I wanted to make a quick review sheet because we have a final exam coming up. And I thought I'd share it with you on YouTube because you guys are so good with technology these days. So here we go. Here's the review sheet that we looked at in class last time. Um, First unit, Unit 1, Introduction and Methods. I don't think there's anything too confusing on here. Um, I suppose a naturalistic observation might slip you up. That's when you observe an object or something in its natural settings. Pretty easy, like observing high school students. Another one that might trip you up is a double-blind study. Double-blind studies are used to eliminate the placebo effect. The placebo effect is the idea that expectations can impact outcomes. Alright, on to the learning unit and Pavlov. Pavlov and Skinner are our two main guys in this unit. A bunch of minutia in here, but some interesting things that we might want to remember is the main difference between classical conditioning and operant conditioning. This review sheet, by the way, is available on Blackboard. Classical conditioning is dealing with just responses, hunger, stimulation, whereas operant conditioning and Skinner have to do with behavior, so training a cat, training an athlete. On to the brain. Some weird things we didn't talk too much about this school year. We got a little bit more specific in the exam. The hindbrain here is things like the pons, the medulla. The midbrain is the emotional brain. And the forebrain is the part of the brain that controls thinking, really what separates us from animals. Some other neat things in here. Synapse neurons are the basic building blocks of the brain. Everything else should be pretty easily remembered. The pituitary gland is another way we send information throughout our bodies. Also, right brain versus left brain. Right brain, your right part of your brain is silent, but it is more creative and it is more emotional. The left part of your brain is really the talking part. It's the usually more logical, more formulaic. Um, okay. Next unit, altered states of consciousness. What else? What's in here that might be difficult? I think that we covered this unit quite a bit, and you shouldn't have any trouble on any of these things. Into abnormal psychology, the unit we didn't get to have a test for this year because we ran out of time. You're going to have to kind of match you're going to have to match situations with disorders. So, for example, if Johnny gets upset when he goes to Safeway and only gets upset when he goes to Safeway, then he would have a phobia of Safeway. If he's nervous all the time, generalized anxiety disorder. If he's having flashbacks and nightmares, PTSD, etc., etc. Some other interesting ones is the difference between depression and bipolar, and of course the main difference is this one here, mania. Maybe I'll put that in bold. Other than that, let me just get down to the miscellaneous because this is stuff that was completely uncovered. Well, not completely. I covered it the last day before the exam, but here we go. Wilhelm Wundt, father of modern psychology. Correlations we went over. We did a project at the beginning of the year on correlations. Remember, correlations do not mean causation. Nature versus nurture. The nature versus nurture debate helps us explain why people are different. Are some people more successful than others? Are some people more damaged than others? Is it due to their basic nature, or is it due to their upbringing? If you believe that it's based on more on their genetics, then you fall on the nature side of the argument. If you think it's more to do with their upbringing, then you believe in the nurture side of the debate. Like in psychology and all things, both are true, but I would say that certain disorders like schizophrenia is probably more nature-based, and other problems are more nurture-based. Spearman's G is an intelligence theory that basically says all of your intelligence can be based on this G score, which is your IQ or your SATs. And based on that score, we can tell how smart you are. And this is pretty much what we use in today. It is a questionable ethically because a lot of the IQ tests and SAT tests are racially and culturally biased. As a response to that, Howard Gardner uh, came out with a theory called the theory of multiple intelligences, which says that you can be successful in one thing but not another. So Howard Gardner is kind of the opposite of Spearman. We talked about emotions displayed through facial expressions. That's how you tell someone's emotions. Maslow's hierarchy. Maslow's hierarchy says that you can be successful, but you have to have your basic needs met. Maybe I can insert a shape here. Put a little, I don't know how to do that. The idea is the goal is reaching self-actualization, being your own personal butterfly. How do we reach that? We must have our basic needs met. Food, safety, love, and esteem needs are required before we can get over here into self-actualization. Biopsychosocial and intrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is motivation that comes from within. Extrinsic is motivation that comes from the outside. So getting candies or rewards is extrinsic motivation.